So just looking at the World Rugby proposal, and if we move to the next slide, we'll see exactly what it is. World Rugby's Executive Board has recommended that unions participate in an opt-in global trial of lowering the tackle height in the community game to below the sternum, also known as a belly tackle. So let's unpack that for a minute, shall we? And we move to the next slide. It's opt-in. There's no mandate. It's not a referendum. We can opt in, we can opt out, we can elect to go with an IRFU trial if that is what is felt is the best course of action for us. Moving on to the next slide, we understand what we mean by global here, and we're going to fly through this. As Ross has said, South Africa are looking to workshop these proposals, and that key point around clarity and full buy-in. Moving on to the next nation that we're dealing with, Scottish Rugby. You've seen there in the middle of a consultation process that they're about to look at next steps. Part of their process was around reaching out to stakeholders kind of cohort by cohort, and that's something that you can expect to see as part of this process as well. Then if we move ahead to Australia, they're already at the point where they're identifying competitions where they can implement this. They have to appoint a partner. We've got the IRIS data to rely on here, but that continued emphasis, as you've heard throughout this, on correct tackle technique and understanding the laws of the game. And Colin McEntee mentioned that he's been to New Zealand to have discussions around this. In New Zealand, they've reduced tackle height to below the sternum, coined the phrase tummy tackle along the way. A second tackler can legally tackle below the shoulders. 78% of people believed it improved the tackler's safety. 73% felt it made the game faster. Just what do we mean by trial if we move on here? It's about tracking, it's about testing, it's about timing, it's about understanding the consequences, as Ross has outlined. Some will be considered, some will be unforeseen. There's all learnings in there that can direct the outcomes, and that proviso that World Rugby have said that there's the tackle technique education is part and parcel of that. And when we move on to understanding what we mean by lowering the tackle height, hopefully by now you'll get that sense that we are talking about lower and not low, and that ongoing guidance and flexibility that's there around lower tackle height, tackle elements, double tackles, try-line defence, etc. What we mean when we talk about community, New Zealand talk about senior rugby, teenage and small blacks. France was essentially high-level junior. IRFU was on the men's side, national 1 and below, on the women's championship 1 and below. And from the memo that Colin McEntee would have sent to you, what we're talking about is the amateur game. And then in terms of below the sternum, that belly tackle that you've heard about, the zones of red, green and orange, which Ross has taken you through, and we'll hear an awful lot more about over the coming weeks and months, and understanding that's not in every scenario. The key consideration from World Rugby right at the start of this briefing, particularly from the words of Alan Gilpin, change can be difficult, and we must understand that. And there's sections who will question this move, and we've seen that there isn't 100% sentiment one way or the other from the participants on this call. But let's not lose sight of the opportunities in there to enhance enjoyment, reassure parents, welcome many new participants. And just to come back to the people who are on this call, 66% of you are players or coaches. So everyone on this call is thinking, how can I make this work for my bunch of lads, my bunch of girls? And the reason for that is that we care. And if we're at the point where we agree that we can't do nothing, let's accept the primary importance of risk reduction, and let's explore and identify those possible interventions, making sure that they're reasonable. And that's how we get the buy-in. After that, look, we'll be adaptable, we'll be innovative, we'll be creative about finding solutions to those secondary challenges, and then we can work together on the roadmap. And the point here is that change happens when we care enough about the right thing for the right amount of time.